Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. Today it's all about team news. It's Game Week 11 and I am joined by team news guru, Nathan Ferguson injury expert, Neale. Neale, how are you?
It's quite easy to be an expert on Nathan Ferguson as he's the kind of player and injury update that I like to get off the fence for. He's definitely out. But yeah, I'm well otherwise. Yeah, not too bad. It's a bit frantic this afternoon because it's a Friday deadline. We've been very busy over lunch with 13 presses in all today, and then a couple from embargoed from last night. But yeah, we'll get through them as quick as we can because time is of the essence today.
Right, yeah, I will. I'm just going to quickly say, remind everyone, please do press subscribe. Do also press that like button. And hello to all of those many hundreds of people who have joined us in the live chat. So lots of interest, obviously, in the team news. FPL veteran, Tony, FPL Popo, the disabled team, Mike A, Akib, Gigamesh, the Earl of Lemon Grab. Good to see the Earl.
Nice to see him back, yeah.
It's really good to see him back. And so we can crack on now. I've said my hellos. Let's go. My team, Brighton, face up against Brentford tonight. It's the, what do we call Tony Bloom and the owner of Brentford, the just clever people with money, Derby. So let's go for Brentford first, the home side. What has Thomas Frank been saying about his troops?
Yeah, he was one of the few to hold their presses yesterday. Same with Brighton. Norgard's still out, Jansen's still out, and Strekowski as well. The backup goalkeeper is still sidelined. Lewis Potter's the only one back. He's been back in training this week. Could come into the matchday squad. Thomas Frank not 100% sure, but yeah, pretty much quiet in terms of Brentford team.
So yeah, if you've got Norgard and Jansen kicking around on your bench and you're hoping to play them, they're going to be out. So Brighton, there was some sad news with Moepo. So that's sad. So he's been forced to retire, but luckily they've caught that heart condition early. So hopefully we'll see no tragedy there. So good luck with him in his future career path. But what else has De Zerbi been talking about ahead of this clash?
Very little. Jakob Modes, the only one who's sidelined, I think. He is out till March, I believe, with a knee problem. That's been the case for a while. I think he's been out for the best part of it. It will have been out for the best part of the year. And Mwepu, of course, was going to be the next point. He's retired now, so no longer an option. And I think that's it on the Brighton team news. I think De Zerbi said there was no fresh concerns.
Yeah, all fine there. So I suspect there could be some rotation over between 11 and 12. Just because just the tight turnaround, I think all teams will face a degree of rotation. But as far as we know, it's probably business as usual, and it's probably be a very similar team that we saw last time out. We'll have a look there. Leicester, Crystal Palace. So for me, it's the Zaha Maddison derby. Both in my team. I'm going to field them both. I expect them to score. What has Roger's been saying? Now there were some issues with one of their defenders, I understand.
Yeah, Johnny Evans has got a tight calf, so he is going to be assessed. See if he can be involved. Castagna, who was flagged, whether he was even worthy of flags up for debate, but he came off with I think it was a bruised eye, swollen eye. He's fit, he's fine, he's going to be available for the Palace game. So yeah, Evans is the concern. Ndidi, Bertrand, Pereira all out, remain out. Mendy and Dennis Pratt will be back in training later in the week after missing some earlier sessions. But yeah, Evans is obviously the big concern because even with him in, they're conceding goals for fun. But without him, a Daniel Amati, Wout Weiss partnership at the back doesn't scream solidity. Not with Danny Ward behind him.
Okay, and we'll go for Crystal Palace. And I've got a sound effect here for the Nathan Ferguson news. So is he fit?
Well, he's been back in training. He was training as of last week, I believe. Now, I haven't seen Vieira's press all the way through yet, but I don't think anything's changed on the injury front today, other than Will Hughes is out with an illness. But Vieira certainly said there was no fresh concerns. And now Ferguson had been out for, I think, about 2 months with a foot problem, and the rest before that. But he and Jack Butland have been back in training recently, so I would say nearing a return, but we've learned the hard way that just when one injury disappears, he picks up a fresh concern. But I really hope for his sake that he's back. Apart from that, I think Klein and MacArthur are out as well.
Okay. So for the time being, with Nathan Ferguson, that's the news, the sad news that we've got there. But lots of other positives there from Palace, but obviously not for Will Hughes there. Fulham against Bournemouth. Now this is a biggie. Mitrovic, will he play? I've got him in my team. Yellow flagged. I need him, but what's been said there by the Fulham management?
Well, again, this happened at 1:30, this press conference. So we don't watch all of them live. We can't watch all of them live because they're not available. Some of them we can, like Potter's, which will come on to shortly. No, so I haven't seen this out of Silva's mouth myself. So I'm only going off the transcribed quotes from the likes of Peter Rutzler, who's in the press conference. And Silva said he's getting better. He's done the warm-up and the session today. I think that was the first day he's been involved with the team in a fortnight. So they're checking and assessing. So by the sounds of that, after one day of training, I would think perhaps game week 12 looks the likely, I think, for a start.
Okay.
Potentially match day squad duties this weekend, but I think after one day of training, throwing them straight in. I mean, Bournemouth, it's a big game, admittedly. It could, in the long run, turn out to be a 6-pointer, even Fulham and Bournemouth have started quite well. Only going off Silva's comments and the fact that he has had one day of training, and I think it wasn't even a proper training session. I think it was more strategy. I would have my doubts about whether he starts against Bournemouth. Okay. But the good news is that it's quite a hefty turnaround, I think, for Fulham's next game. I think it's on a Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Of game week 12. That gives him an extra sort of 6 days, 5-6 days to recover. So I would have higher hopes for game week 12. The one thing I would say about game week 12, just as a final word of caution, is that we probably won't hear from Silva before the deadline next week, because it's a Tuesday deadline, and I would think the Thursday press conferences are held on Wednesday. They usually are. So just be warned that
so it sounds like for Mitrovic, fellow Mitrovic owners, start him just in case. It's possible he might come on. A start is very unlikely, but he might come on against tired legs, but he might not at all. In which case, the very likely is your first sub's going to come on. So get your bench in order.
Yeah, I mean, he could come on as a sub himself.
So it would be, because if he is available for game week 12 when we need him and we need our transfers to be used elsewhere, it would be it wouldn't be ideal to get rid of him and then to see him game week 12 and then score, and that would be annoying. I'm gonna, if you've got a bench, keep him, I would say. But yeah, that's a tough one. What about Bournemouth as well? Surprisingly good in defence, yet at the same time not. So yeah, how are they? How are they doing, and how are their troops set up for this?
They are in pretty good nick. I think Kelly and Brooks are the only ones still out. Rothwell's back in training, Pearson's back in training, so they could come into contention this weekend. We didn't get any update on Stanislas, but yeah, they're in good form. I think 5 unbeaten. They kept a relatively settled side. I think O'Neill has since Parker left. I think 5 ever-present starters in that time. So Solanke, I know he's got his detractors, and I'm one of them. But Bournemouth have not only got a bit of form and some decent fixtures, they've got a really good turnaround between game weeks 11 to 13. The most generous turnaround of all the clubs. I think is it a Saturday, Wednesday, Monday schedule, something like that. So ample recovery time in between games. And Solanke, of course, the one thing you do get off him is starts, if not XG. Okay, so
Mitrovic owners could be tempted to get Solanke, and you pretty much know you're going to get 180 minutes, Will, you would hope. But let's move on to another couple of teams that we've been targeting for attacking returns, really, when we face them. It's the Steve Derby. Great to see snooker legend Steve Davis taking charge at Wolves. Let's hope he can snooker Forest for this one. Steve Cooper, manager there, obviously. So let's go for Wolves first. What has the former world number 1 at snooker got to say about Wolves?
Well, there's some interesting team news from Steve Davis. There's not really. Just thought I'd throw that nickname in. Boubacar Traore is back after illness, and Guedes is available as well. He picked up a knock last week, but he's fine. I think it's the same players suspended, out and suspended. So Neto, Chiquinho, Jimenez, all on the injury list. Collins is still suspended. Neves is back, actually. He only had a one-match ban because of it was yellow card accumulation. So he is available for this one.
Okay, and Nottingham Forest. There's not much I would imagine here, but is there anything of note for Forest?
Well, there was actually, yeah. I mean, not on the injury front. I'll just quickly run through that. I think it's as you were. So Mangala's nowhere. Sorry, not Mangala. Niakate is nowhere near a return. Colback's got this niggling back problem that's kept him out recently. I think Richards is still sidelined as well. Don't think there's anything new from Monday night, but there was interesting quote on Aurier from Cooper.
Oh, okay, right.
Which I put up, because of course this affects Nico Williams, who's
in my team and I might need.
Exactly the same case as you, Joe. I've got him in my squad. I'll leave him for Gameweek 12 anyway, that's for certain. So it was fairly positive on Aurier. He said his experience has been valuable in this sort of tricky period. And got him half a game against Leicester, and then because Williams was on a yellow card, that's why he came off at half time for that. It was a positive to get him match minutes against Villa. Now the key line from this is that Cooper's quote about his fitness. So he said, "We never thought he would play 90 minutes against Villa. He's not up to that level at the moment physically, which is normal and natural for everybody, but it was a good step forward for him." So I would think, I mean, Forest have been by bet noir this season in terms of predicting a team because it's just been crapshoot really. I would think he keeps a similar defence for game week 12 because they looked more compact and resolute on Monday night after conceding for fun. But Williams maybe comes on for him because Aurier is not ready for 90 minutes, and then it's a Saturday Tuesday turnaround. So is Aurier going to start twice in the space of 72 hours? So there is a bit of hope. There's a glimmer of hope for us Williams owners. I think you'll get minutes either way in game week 12 because Aurier's not up to 90 minutes. And either way, he's going to score 1 point anyway. So I was going
to say the way the Nottingham Forest defence is at the moment. To be honest, I'm probably just glad of the off chance of an assist in the last 10 minutes of him coming on. So, let's have a look at Spurs Everton. So chances of a front three at Spurs slightly diminished, I see, but you never know. Kulusevski, he's not going to be fit.
He's not. No. This was just days after Conte said that he was probably going to be back for this one, but they're not taking any risks with him. I think this was based on medical opinion rather than the player or the manager. So he has been back in training, but he's not quite ready for this one. And he couldn't say for sure whether he'd be fit for game week 12 either. So drags on this one. Emerson Royale suspended as well. Lucas Moura came back in midweek. So that adds to the slight rotation risk up top. Richarlison, we think he's all right. Okay. He took a knock to the knee in midweek, and Conte said that after the match against Frankfurt. But I believe today he said he's got the same group of players at his disposal. So that implies that Richarlison's fine. Okay.
So what do you think? Do you think it's going to be two up top? 5-man midfield?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, the only thing is, it's home to Everton, so it's not. It's a game where you'd want to be on the front foot. I think Everton are pretty defensive-minded under Lampard. So yeah, I've yet to finalise our team prediction, but yeah, with Kulusevski out, Moura's not going to be ready to start, and Richarlison, he's still got that flag hanging over him. I'll try and find out whether he is definitely fit. Okay, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is a 3-5-2 again.
Okay. Now, we'll come to Reece James in a moment, but say, for example, I was looking to replace him, not to spoil anything. I think in terms of upside chasing, as our colleague Late Riser would say, one of the Spurs wing backs would probably be the best person to replace. So, but which one do you think? Who is going to play game week 11 and then also game week 12?
Well, I assumed you were heading towards Doherty in those comments, but Perisic comes into this game off the bat of 2 benches. Yeah. So we assume he's good for a start in game week 12. It's slightly muddled with game week 12 being a midweek game, so it's a Wednesday fixture. Spurs are playing on the Saturday night, so I wouldn't be able to guarantee 2 starters, 2 start for any of them. Sessegnon's the third wheel, but this weekend I would think Perisic and Doherty face Everton. And then on Wednesday, I would think Perisic, Sessegnon comes back in, given his form, and then it's one of Perisic or Doherty for the right side.
Okay,
So yeah, I could probably guarantee you one start maybe this weekend, or
that's a leap of faith for me, and so I might still do it. Who knows?
Yeah.
What about Everton? One of the reasons I might have to take a leap of faith is because Patterson is on my bench and has got a flag. Any chance he's going to be back?
No, not a chance. He is back in training. Unless Lampard was lying, he is 2 to 3 weeks away according to his boss. So that would be Gameweek 14, something like that.
Okay, he's got
no chance. No chance of him featuring in midweek. I wouldn't have thought.
No.
Gordon's out as well. He's serving a 1-match ban, 5 yellow cards in 9 games. Townsend, Godfrey's still out. Godfrey's back in training as well. Holgate and Mina also had been back in training. Holgate isn't match fit yet. Mina's had a setback with a calf problem. So still quite a lot of problems there at Everton. But Decore is available again. After personal reasons, he missed out last weekend. Calvert-Lewin, by the way, there was a line on him too. Lampard again suggesting he's not match fit yet, even though he's back in the squad.
Right.
So Maupay probably still through the middle for now.
Okay, yeah. Interesting couple of team sheets there for replacements of players, but also quite a few of us have still got Patterson knocking around on their bench. Aston Villa against Chelsea. Now, I'm biased because I've got Reece James. I haven't got any Aston Villa, so I'm more interested in Chelsea. So should we start with them first, even though they're the away side? Reece James, I saw some reports saying that he was possibly out until at least the World Cup, so might miss that, but not confirmed.
No.
Has Graham Potter shed any light on this?
Not much light. He did speak of it. I saw the reports too, and doing the rounds now. So this was Potter's quote from the press conference today. He said he's due to see a specialist over the weekend. So until we get that information, there's not much else I can add. He did acknowledge that there was discomfort, but he said yesterday he didn't feel too bad. So again, we have to wait on this weekend assessment. The same with Kante as well. He's got a hamstring problem. So I would say definitely rule out a Gameweek 11, obviously, because he's having the assessment this weekend. And then beyond that, we're waiting what Potter says on, what will it be? Hopefully on Tuesday. We should give a press conference.
Do you think, I mean, I know this with Graham Potter at Brighton before, reading between the lines with that, there's clearly an issue with Reece James. And he is of the school of thought of sort of protecting someone's privacy when it comes to the severity of an injury, for example, or if there's a family issue or something like that. And so he might just be, because it's Reece James's health there, he might be sort of protecting him a bit there, do you think?
I don't know. I think he was one of the more open managers when he was manager of Brighton in terms of press conference updates. But perhaps maybe he just don't want to give any advantage to opposition, or maybe he doesn't want to add to the speculation around it. But I don't know. I really don't know.
It sounds like a sell for owners.
Yeah, I think the fixtures don't look too good after 13 anyway, or after 12 anyway. So.
Who would likely replace him? Would there be a nice, easy switch for a defender, perhaps, or is it more likely to be a midfielder to replace him?
What, in the Chelsea lineup rather than well, I would probably think a formation change, perhaps. I mean, they've got Loftus-Cheek. I think played the left. I would think he maybe goes back to a back four with Aspi at right back this weekend, and obviously he'll change that. I think is game to game because Aspilicueta is going to start every match. But yeah, Loftus-Cheek can play there. We've seen Sterling play at left wing back, so I'm sure he's got some tactical brilliance up his sleeve for how to deal with James.
And Kante out as well for this.
Yeah, Kante is out. Yeah, similar to James' assessment this weekend. Yeah. And Fofana isn't expected back before the World Cup.
Right. Okay. So problems there, but they've got a big enough squad. He's certainly made use of a much smaller squad at Brighton before, so I've no doubt he'll get the players out. Aston Villa. Liam Bailey, is he back?
He is. He is back. Back involved in the squad this weekend. Sorry. Who else have we got? Yeah, Carlos Kamara. They're both out longer term. Augustinsson end of the month. Digne end of the month as well. We thought he actually might be more serious than that, but it looks pretty good. His heel, I think it is, and Gerrard says hopefully by the end of October he should be back. Cash should be fine as well. He missed Thursday as a precaution at training, but that was pre-planned, I think, so he should be all right.
Okay, let's have a look at Leeds and Arsenal. We've got a comments in the chat. Diane, very keen for us to crack on. Less about my team. Well, I'm just sort of giving the perspective of an FPL manager. Lots have similar players. So sorry that's offended you, Diane. Let's have a look at Leeds and Arsenal then. So I had to pilfer a quote from a day or so ago around Arsenal because Jesus was out, absent from training for the Europa League match. But do we have any update there? And what else have we got an update from Arsenal?
We don't really, because Arteta was as I said there, we're in Arsenal in action last night, and whatever embargoed section of that press conference was for Gameweek 11 hasn't dropped yet. At least not that I've seen. We did know that Smith Rowe and El Nani are out there, long-term ones. Zinchenko missed out last weekend. I don't think he's been seen in training since. So maybe he's going to miss out again. Jesus, the big one. Arteta's quote was, "We felt that with everything he's been through in the last few weeks, that it would be better for him to stay at home." So that sounds precautionary, or just giving him a rest. He did come off. He did clobbered a bit last weekend against Liverpool.
Yeah.
But even if that was a concussion, which I don't think it was, the protocol would be served by the time they face Leeds. So unless there's anything else the matter, then I assume Jesus is fine.
Okay.
And apart from that, I think everyone else of note was in the squad last night, but wasn't playing much. Most of them benched. The ones who did start, like Saka and Odegaard, were off before 70 minutes.
Right, yeah.
Only Saliba played the 90 of anyone of note. So
we're probably looking at a very similar, very traditional Arsenal lineup.
Yeah.
No
almost
surprises.
probably the same again. Maybe even identical if Tommy Asu's again preferred to Tierney at left back.
Okay, and with Leeds as well, I mean, less interest there, but nevertheless, if you've got Arsenal assets, and you certainly would hope that Leeds aren't in good shape. But what shape are Leeds in for this?
Pretty much as you were, with the addition of Sinistera being back. So he was suspended, only a one-match ban. He's back for this one. Firpo's available too, but he won't play. Jesse Marsh confirmed that Stroud's going to continue at left back. So the usual four of them are still out. That's Forshaw, Hjelde, Dallas, and Archie Gray as well. Dallas is out longer term. The other three are back very shortly.
Okay, let's have a look at Manchester United against Newcastle. So Newcastle, it's Isaac. He's been in and out in people's teams, but when he got injured, he was out. But could he be back, and could that affect Wilson? So what's the situation there with some of those attacking players at Newcastle?
Well, you're not going to see Isaac back until game week 14 at the earliest, by the sounds of it. Howe said today that with the 3-game week coming up, we think it might be too difficult for him to play a part in any of those fixtures, not just game week 11. So he's still out. Shelby's nearing a return. He is back in training. Darlow, Kraft, and Richie are all still out. So Maximum's back. Of course, he was in the squad last weekend, but eased in as a substitute, and he will get game time over this next week with 3 games in quick succession. Probably a start as well, but maybe not this weekend because they played so well. Not just last weekend, but the weekend before. Scored 9 goals over the last 2 games.
Really? Your team, blimey. You must be absolutely delighted. This is glory days of Shearer and co, isn't it?
Yeah, if I just try and ignore the ownership moral question and just concentrate on the pitch, then it's a good time.
There's a lot of goals here. I've seen Trippier on a few benches this week, so he should be playing as well.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, just the way they're attacking at the moment, he definitely could get an assist or so.
Well, he's done that the last 3 games. Newcastle lost a clean sheet. He's compensated with an attacking return. He was going to be my first sub, but he'll be coming on this week because James was part of my team. So
Okay. Manchester United. Once again, I pilfered this from a couple of days ago. This quote here because we were talking about Martial and his availability in Europe. I think there was something added onto that about we'll see for the weekend. But have we got any update there with Martial and any other players there at Manchester?
We have, we've got a brief one. Again, this was after last night's Europa League game, and the quotes were held back until today. So he said about Martial can be fit. We have to wait to see how it develops in the coming hours. So he's got, I think, was it a back problem or possibly a hamstring? Anyway, I suspect even if he's fine, given what happened last weekend, they might dial it back a bit, ease him in again with sub appearances. because he was off within half an hour, I think, last weekend. I think apart from that, it's as you were. Maguire's still out, but set to return to training next week. Not that he'll be trouble in the starting 11. McTominay is out, suspended as well. That's the only other line of note.
Okay, let's move on to Southampton against West Ham. So Bowen's in a number of teams, so their owners will be hoping the Southampton team's no mess. Meanwhile, I haven't seen a lot of Southampton players in FPL teams at the moment, so I think West Ham will be the main interest here. So let's start with them first. How are they doing? Because there were a few kind of knocks and niggles, as David Moyes would say, in Europe midweek for them.
Yeah, and illnesses as well. So Cornier and Aguero are both out still. The rest of them, I think there's 5 other players flagged. Bonner, the least likely to feature because he was, I think it was a hamstring strain last night. Doubt he'll be risked. The others are, Moyes sounded more hopeful on. So Zuma and Antonio are out ill. I think Moyes said Antonio had the sniffles, which hopefully means it's not COVID. Dawson came off with a dead leg, but was described as precautionary withdrawal. Kera as well was missed out last night completely. Again, I think as a precaution with a knock. So they're all 75 that quartet, and Moyes sounded hopeful, but of course no guarantees. So if you're looking for a guaranteed route into that defence, Cresswell's probably the only one who isn't flagged.
Okay.
I think of the regular back four.
Right, yeah. So Southampton, I mean, Hasenhuttl still there, incredibly.
He is clinging on.
So Livramento, he's a long-term one, isn't he? But any other news there at Southampton?
Yeah, Lavia is near a comeback. He should be back in training next week, but not in time for this one. Jeanette was only fresh absentee. He's ill, so he's not going to be involved this weekend.
Oh, sorry if you've just already said. A few people in the chat want to know about Soufal. He's in a few teams. Soufal.
Well, he's not part of the first choice 11 in the league at the moment. Kera's replaced him at right back, but with the aforementioned injuries and illnesses, there's a chance he comes in for this, because it would only take one of that trio of centre halves to be absent, I think, for Kufal to come in. Okay. But Johnson is fit as well, so he's another option at right back.
Possibility there.
Possibility, but no guarantees. Yeah.
Let's move to the final match, and it's a biggie as well. Liverpool, Manchester City. More news from Liverpool than Manchester City, I would say, on the injury front. So, I mean, there's quite a few here. So, do you want to round these up at Liverpool? What's Klopp been saying?
Yeah, there was nothing really from him today in terms of fresh updates. He said we'll have to see who's going to be available. But earlier in the week, I think Tuesday or Wednesday, when he gave his press conference, Champions League press conference, he gave us a lot more. So Diaz is out until after the World Cup. Alexander-Arnold's out for, he thinks, 2 weeks. So that will take him, I think, around about Gameweek 14. Okay. Could be longer. Matip, we think, is on a similar time frame as well. That wasn't confirmed by Klopp, but that was what the reports are. Arthur Melo is out as well until after the World Cup. Okay. So those are the 4 red flags. There's some 75% ones as well, and the rest. Curtis Jones, Oxlade-Chamberlain been back in training. Weren't match fit enough for midweek, but could be this weekend. Kate there as well was near a return, but won't be involved this weekend, I don't think. I think it's less about the injuries, which we know about, and more about who he's going to pick in his team.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Andy Robertson, if he's fit, he looks like a good sort of Reece James or Alexander-Arnold replacement, possibly. Well, will he play?
Well, I'd stop short of that, I think, because I think he might play this weekend, but as I mentioned elsewhere this week, Liverpool have got the worst turnaround, not just from game week 11 to 12, but from game week 12 to 13 as well. So I doubt very much whether he's going to start all 3 games. Right. And then within that, I would suspect he'll be subbed off. So if you fancy 2 from 3 starts, one of which might be Man City, then go for it. But I would...
You're not selling it to me.
No. I'd stop short of that.
Okay.
He is back, though. He was in the squad. He came on for 20 minutes, I think, in midweek. So he could start this one. Mm-hmm. We've seen Klopp playing a more attacking formation, or certainly a different formation in the past fortnight, 4-4-2/4-2-3-1. Will he go with that again against City? I don't know. I've got my doubts. Mm-hmm. He did say today that he would have to pick a team with the best defending unit we can be.
Okay.
So maybe he goes back to 4-3-3 for this. Darwin's had 3 successive starts as well in League and Cup. So if one has to make way, then I think it might be him. But he would then come back into it for the more appealing fixtures in game week 12 and 13.
Rightio. And Man City, there were a few sort of absentees and talk of fatigue midweek at Europe and Man City. So who did that entail, and what are they likely to start this time around?
I think that was not a load of baloney, but I think it was just Pep justifying benchings for Foden, Bernardo, and Haaland. It was that trio. They're all ready, according to Pep today.
Okay.
So whatever fatigue they had, and they may be right. That was the game to bench him against Copenhagen, even though there wasn't a win. They're all fine. The 3 injuries are the ones we knew about already. So Phillips, Walker, and Stones. Stones is still 7 to 10 days away, so we'll probably miss the next 2 game weeks for City as it is, because they've got to go blank, of course, in 12. I don't think there's many dilemmas apart from who joins the front 6. It's either Gundogan or Grealish, really. I think that's pretty much it. I think everyone else, we can be fairly confident about in terms of who's going to start.
Okay, so you think, so Haaland, Foden, 2 of the front 3, possibly Grealish, could be Mahrez?
Could be, but I've just written this in the team news. He only started one of the last 7 against Liverpool. Tends not to be trusted in these kind of fixtures. Right. But Pep does have surprises up his sleeve, as we've seen before in big games where he's pulled the rug from under us. But I think he would be my 3rd favourite behind Grealish and Gundogan for that final slot. Okay,
a few people in the chat asking whether Diaz will start. It's on the screen right now. Have a look on the screen. It says he won't. We spoke about that a bit earlier. So
yes. Not Ruben Diaz, the Liverpool Diaz.
Oh, the Liverpool Diaz, yeah.
Yeah. Ruben Diaz should be fine.
No, Luis Diaz. Yeah, Ruben Diaz, absolutely fine. Just to confirm, Luis Diaz, he's the one who won't be. Let's round up that key news that we've got here. So I was not running out of space for the out column. One of those team news where we actually got some definites about a number of players. So Isaac definitely not going to play. Stones definitely not going to play. Kante and James. I should have put them in questionable, but really, I've just gone out on a limb here. This sounds like they're out. Janssen, Norgard at Brentford out. Patterson, Godfrey, Mina as well there. Couldn't fit him in. Kulusevski out for Spurs. Gordon as well. He's suspended, so he's out. Alexander Arnold, the Liverpool Diaz, and Matip are all out for Liverpool there. But fit to play. I put Haaland, Foden, and Silva in there just because there was that slight talk about fatigue midweek, but they're absolutely fine by the looks of it. And questionable, Mitrovic, probably the star of the questionable column. Major doubts. So I always know what to do with the major doubts or questionable, because it's quite similar. But Calvert-Lewin sounds like a major doubt. It's possible. Well,
he's fit. He'll be in the squad. He just won't start. I think.
So is he perhaps arguably in the questionable column, but a hell of a lot there, and also those West Ham defenders and West Ham players. Questionable, but could start. So hopefully we've given everyone a good bit of firm team news there and illuminated some of the trickier, more questionable news there from managers. But Neale, thanks so much for joining me. Reminder everyone that it's a deadline coming up very soon. So it's tonight. It's a game tonight. Do remember to subscribe. Do remember to press that like button. That really helps us. And do subscribe. That means you keep up with all the videos and podcasts like this. But in the meantime, Neale, thanks so much for joining me. Thanks everyone. Nearly 2,000 of you joined us in the live chat. And thanks to those who are listening and watching back. See you soon.
Bye bye.